it's crazy how spicy this is. So if you're into that, if you're into book porn, then these are the books for you. Hey guys, Nina here, and welcome to More Than Fiction podcast. So, I'm just gonna get right into it. From now on, this is probably gonna be a single host podcast because sadly, my co-host Anya has decided not to do this anymore. She has lost interest, and sadly that happens when you start certain project. As the time goes on, I guess you're just not into it as much anymore. But I'm still here. I'm still totally into podcasting. I haven't got bored of it at all. I don't think I ever will, honestly. I love discussing books, and even if I do it by myself, it's fine because I love listening to myself talk. No, but on a serious note, yeah, I am flying solo. So hopefully you guys will still continue to support me, and hopefully this will still continue to be interesting for you. I am thinking maybe of even having guests eventually, maybe have some friends come over casually and discuss certain books with them that they're super huge fans of, maybe having even you guys come in if anyone wants to be my guest and discuss a certain book that you absolutely adore. We can also do that. If you have any suggestions for me, I would love to hear them because this isn't for certain. You never know. I might even get a friend to do this with me. But for now, this is my plan. I have to plan things out. I have to think about which books or TV shows I'm gonna discuss next. The Throne of Glass series is still up there because I love that series. I was the one who even wanted to discuss it in the first place. But yeah, I just have to schedule everything. You know, we used to post once a week, meaning every Monday. But in the summer, we obviously started posting less and less because, well, it's summer and we were traveling and stuff. And yeah, now that it's gonna be probably just me, it's probably gonna end up being once a month type of a situation or a few times a month. I'm not sure, but it's not gonna be definitely not once a week. I don't think I'm gonna be able to handle that. But I will try to post as frequently as possible on Instagram still. Instagram is the, social media platform that we use the most anyway. And I'm gonna try to continue to do that, post some fun reels for you guys, some relatable content that you can enjoy, and also snippets from my future episodes, and also from some past episodes. Even if Anya's not here anymore, the episodes were still really great. They were it was really good to discuss books with her, and the videos are, still interesting in my opinion. So that's it, I guess, for now. That's the biggest update that I had so far. Like I said, let me know here on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening if you have any comments, or maybe contact me on Instagram. If I'm being honest, when Anya approached me with this situation that she doesn't want to do it anymore, I did kind of panic for a second because at the end of the day, normally when I listen to podcasts, they are, they have multiple hosts, and these friends or whatever they are to each other, they discuss stuff, and it's interesting to listen to friends talk about things and, have different opinions and sometimes even bicker about stuff and, everything like that. But then I found some single host podcasts. Honestly, I just kind of Googled if that's even a thing because I don't listen to single host podcasts. And it's actually a thing. And I found some really interesting ones, some historical ones. I wish I would have written them down, but maybe I'll let you know about them in the next episode. And it was really good listening to that. For example, I just finished an episode about Peaky Blinders, the TV show versus reality. So who Peaky Blinders were in real life, and how the show is basically mostly fiction. And I loved it. And it was just one guy talking about it, discussing some interesting details, and it was amazing. So hopefully you guys will still enjoy this, just like I enjoyed his podcast, which I will try to find the name of later. So anyways, right now I'm at home. I am not on vacation. I did travel this entire summer a lot. I was in Norway, and then I went to Madeira, which is an island in Portugal. I had so much fun, and ever since I'm back home, I just kind of travel, on like small road trips. I'm always somewhere because I just want to take advantage of the sun and of the weather and of summer, basically. I feel like I'm the most alive when it's summertime. I don't know about you, but I do miss podcasting. Honestly, I do miss our weekly sessions. It's gonna be different definitely now that I'm alone, but still fun, I think. And of course, I'm also doing some reading. I have read a few books. I have also watched some TV shows. So while I was in Madeira, I read 2 romance books because obviously I was on an island and it was just magical and I felt like I'm into some romance. And I did the book that Anya actually recommended to me in one of our episodes in which we recommended books to each other. It's called Happy Place by Emily Henry. This book is, I feel like, very hyped, A lot of people know about it, a lot of people love it. And honestly, as I did enjoy it, but I do think in my opinion, it's a bit overhyped. I think that if I weren't reading it on a beach in such a cute environment, I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did. But since I was on the beach and I basically was living in a cute cottage beach house myself, it's just kind of, I was literally living that in a way. So I was totally into it and I went through it pretty fast and I did like the characters. I have read some comments that people don't like them because they're like rich and they can't relate to them. But honestly, even if they are like these rich individuals, they still have problems like normal people do too. They battle with, different issues like family and romance and all of that, which we can all relate to. So I did end up liking it, but I actually preferred another book from Emily Henry more, which is Book Lovers, because I think I related to this book a little bit more, in the sense of the family problems that she was having, like the main character was having in this book. And even the romance to me was just better. I don't know. I feel like this one's underrated. And if you want to read an Emily Henry novel, I would actually recommend Book Lovers more instead of A Happy Place. But I'm also thinking of reading her other books too. Maybe in August, since it's still summer. Like, I really don't know how I will be able to read her books in winter or in the fall. I feel like her books were really made for the summer. So if you're like still looking for a cute beach read for your vacation, if you're still going somewhere or just for the summertime, I think Emily Henry is the author that you should do, that you should check out. Oh, and also her books are actually becoming TV shows, I think. I'm not sure if like any of them is a movie. I know for sure Happy Place is going to be a Netflix TV show. And then Beach Read, I think, and The People We Meet on Vacation or something like that. I forgot the title. Those will also be TV adaptations. Not sure if it's going to be a movie or a TV show, but yeah. I'm kind of curious how Happy Place is going to play out on TV, if I'm honest. Because, like I said, it might be boring if it's not summer. Maybe I'll watch it in the summer, or I don't know. It might be better than the book, or if, I don't know. I can't say. But I'm not that excited about this TV show, honestly. So yeah, that's all I can say about it for now. So yeah, those are the books that I kind of read when I was in Madeira. But now I actually want to discuss in this episode a book series that I don't even know how I discovered. I think it was like in a Reddit post. I was just like scrolling on Reddit. I think it was a post about spicy books. I think it was that. And I was just like scrolling underneath. And there was this like person that recommended this book series called Devil's Night, written by Penelope Douglas. I have never heard of it before. I have never even heard of the author. I'm not sure if... I have asked a few friends who also are bookworms, and they also don't really know this series or anything about it. So I think it is underrated, or well, not that well known. Let me know if you guys have heard of it or if you have read it. But yeah, so it was completely random, and I just thought to myself, well, supposedly it's spicy, and it's summer, so like, why not, get some spice into my life? But I didn't really read any kind of description about it. I didn't know what kind of a romance it was. What was it about? Was it fantasy? Nothing. I just literally went into it blind based on this recommendation. I don't even know why it caught my attention, because there were quite a few comments of other recommendations, other spice romances. And I just kind of saw this and I was like, this sounds interesting. Devil's Night. Even though the title isn't even that good in my opinion, but I don't know. I just know that I downloaded it and I started reading it and I was kind of hooked immediately, but I didn't realize it's actually a dark romance. And I don't think I've ever read a dark romance because in my head, dark romances are, like just very sadistic macho men who like mistreat women, but they find that to be super sexy and hot. And like, I do like a bad boy for sure. And sometimes I mean, in books, I even like toxicity, if I'm completely honest. I do think it can be interesting, but I think in my head, I just had this feeling about dark romances that they're just too hardcore for me, that I'm just not gonna like that level of toxicity, that it's not gonna be hot or sexy or anything. But this was kind of interesting. It started off as like very dark, yeah, like very, very toxic, because the men in this book were just scary to a level, like one of them actually was insinuated to be a rapist and he was one of the main characters. And I was like, well, shit, why would I like this guy ever? Why would I ever sympathize with him? Why? Like, no, the way it was described, like from this main character's point of view, her name is Erica, but everyone calls her Rika, is that she was always scared of this guy. Like, she basically, so let me just explain a little bit first. So the series is, I'm getting ahead of myself. The series is called Devil's Night, like I said. And so far, I think it has like 6 books and 2 of them are novels. And basically each book is a standalone because it follows like a group of friends. So in the first book, there's Michael. He's the main character and his love interest, Rika. Then in the second book, it's his best friend, like that. But even though they're standalone, I think you do have to read all of them because all of the plots interact with each other. So I think it's important to read all of them for you to actually, get to love these characters and get really invested in their stories. So the Devil's Night series, it has like a very dark romantic suspense plot. Erica, Fane, Rika, is terrified of her boyfriend's older brother, Michael. She kind of witnessed Michael and a few of his high school friends, like his best friends, do something bad, and the friends went to prison. So now they're like out and they're biding their time until the younger brother Trevor goes to military and they can get their vengeance on Rika because they think she sent them to prison, that it was her fault. And when you get into Michael's head, it's kind of really dark and twisted. He really wants to hurt this girl. He always says like he doesn't want to hurt her physically or anything, but just like more emotionally and more psychologically, which is, some might argue that that's even worse. And then you find out that, why he wants to do that, but you still can't empathize because you're like, but still, you're thinking of like literally hurting this girl, and she's actually, when you are in her head, such a lovely, innocent, sweet girl, but she's actually had like, even though she's kind of terrified of Michael, she's always had like this big crush on him because he's a tall, hot basketball player. Of course, he's like super good looking. And all of these, by the way, all of these characters, they're actually very rich. They basically come from this little cute suburb town. Like Michael's dad, I don't know what exactly he does, but I think he owns a lot of like buildings and stuff. And Rika, her dad, he's sadly gone, but he owned like a lot of stores, and they're just all very rich and successful, I think. So they have like bright futures ahead of them until they go to prison. But anyway, this book had me cooked because of the mindset that Michael had. Sure, it was super dark and twisted, but you could see that he also has a longing for Rika and a soft spot for her ever since they were kids, because they essentially grew up together. Their parents were very close. Rika was always kind of destined to be with his little brother Trevor, and he kind of always resented that they were supposed to be like this high school sweethearts and they were supposed to be together, but he never got that sense from Rika that she's actually in love with Trevor. It felt like more like, she's there just because their families are forcing them to be together, and he hated that for her, and he kind of empathized with her, sympathized with her, and he always saw something more in her, like a darkness to her as well. So it's really about facing your inner demons and just embracing them. It's interesting, and it has a lot of spice. I mean, these two, like, if you've read ACOTAR, Anya and I, we have discussed Akatar in our previous episodes. That was like the first series that we've discussed. And Akatar is supposed to be like the super spicy fantasy series, right? Well, I mean, that's nothing. That's not spice. This is the spiciest series I have ever read in my life. It's crazy how spicy this is. So if you're into that, if you're into book porn, then these are the books for you. So anyway, this is the story of Michael and Rika. Then we have the second book, which is called Hideaway. Hideaway is about the other best friend, the friend that went to prison, Kai. And here you have like a new girl introduced, and she's like his love interest. But the interesting thing about this is that all of these love interests of these men, they're like, they know them from before. You know, like Michael and Rika, like I said, they grew up. While Kai, he met Banks. Her name is Banks. He met her when he was also in high school, you know? And then the third book is Kill Switch, which is about the most fucked up character ever. You think that you will never like this man. Like, he's the one that I mentioned before, that like he's insinuated to be a rapist. And his name is Damon. And I just kind of imagine him as Damon Salvatore from the Vampire Diaries. If you know, you know. But this guy, he has like dark eyes, so he doesn't have the bright blue, but it doesn't matter. Like, that's how I see him. And well, he's just really fucked up. But I mean, this book also just kind of shows how there's a reason for people to be fucked up. It's not an excuse to then do bad things to other people, but there's always a reason, you know. That's just kind of the sentiment. And the things that happened to him in his life, well, that's just another level of fucked up. And sometimes when I was reading this book, sometimes it was really hard to read it, actually, because when you were in his head and when you realize what was happening to him when he was a kid and the shit that he went through, and you know, the way it's described in detail and shit, that can be difficult. You have to have a stomach for it, but essentially I think it's worth to go through it because he's just such an interesting character. You have to read it. I'm sorry. And yeah, he also like met his love interest Winter before, you know, this isn't someone new that he just met now in this book. So all of these books have like a past, meaning it happens in the past and it happens in the present. In the past, when they kind of, you know, met or ran into each other or their chemistry started, whatever, and the present, now that things are kind of fucked up between them because they're all kind of enemies to lovers. So if you like the enemies to lovers trope, this is basically it. These men, they all have a reason to not like these girls, and these girls also have a reason to not like these guys, even though they are attracted to each other. So it's kind of that kind of a thing. And the reasons that they don't like each other are actually really good. You know, it's not just something stupid. Like, these are some serious issues, some serious shit that has gone down between them, and it makes sense for them to just kind of hate each other. There's also some miscommunications going on, a lot of them, but I don't know, I don't mind them that much because they just make sense. Sometimes people just don't talk either because they have a lot of pride or there's just a lot of reasons, but it's explained well in my opinion. And then after Kill Switch, Damon's book, you have Conclave, which is actually a short novel. And you get, if I remember correctly, you get Damon's perspective, Rika's perspective, Michael's perspective. So just like a mashup of these characters from the previous books. And it's a cute novel. It kind of gives an introduction to the next book, which is Nightfall. And this is about the fourth best friend that went to prison. His name is William. He's the son of a senator, you know, the politician type. Kind of like Nate Archibald, I think, from Gossip Girl vibe. Just the same. These books, they all have the same pattern, you know, like girls and boys who have met before and they kind of had a thing, and then they, you know, life happened, shit went down, and now they're kind of ran into each other again, and shit is heavy and it's dark and it's twisted, but you just love it and it just makes sense, even though it's kind of scary sometimes. And yeah, I'm actually reading Nightfall right now. I haven't finished it yet. I think I'm like I'm reading it on my Kindle, so I'm like 30% in. And it's so good so far. Like, the suspense is killing me. I want to know exactly, you know, when you read the past and you read the present and you don't exactly know what happened, but you kind of have a feeling about it, but you don't know, and you kind of fear when the, you know, revelation is going to happen, and you fear like how you're going to react. It just, Oh, it's just so good. And like, I want to read it right now. And instead, here I am talking to you guys like about it. Shit, I hate myself. But yeah, Nightfall so far, so good. And then we have also Fire Night. Fire Night is the novel after Nightfall. I have no idea what's it about. I'm not there yet. And I don't know if there's gonna be new books, but I don't think so. I think this book series is finished. And like I said, these are standalones, but I do not recommend reading, like, for example, I don't know, Damon's book, which is the third book, and not the first two. Like, I just don't do that. I do not recommend that at all. And I have to say that the first book is actually my least favorite. So Corrupt, it's like, story-wise, I think is my least favorite. It's not as deep as the others are. I feel like Michael, for example, he's not as deep. He's more like of a shallow character. And Rika, some stuff has happened to her and shit, but it's still like, it's more about the spice and about the games that they play with each other. So Corrupt isn't that great in my opinion, but I still finished it really fast. I still read it. I was still into it. It was still like a fun, spicy read. The sex scenes, for example, they were intense. They were hot. So yeah, I can't say anything about that. But I think this is one of the first books of this author. I'm not sure. I should have check that out, but it makes sense that if it's like one of her first, that it's not gonna be as good. But then the second book, I was so shocked because I thought I liked Michael and Rika, so when I realized I was gonna have to read now about his like other best friend, which I actually really liked in the first book, I was very intrigued by him, but I was still like, well, do I wanna, I wanna Michael and Rika, I was attached to them a bit. But no, the second book is even more interesting because of Kai's love interest, Banks. She has, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this girl to have such a good story, but it's so good. And also so much shit has happened in her life. She was really kind of abused a lot, and you can see how, she kind of loves her abuser in a way, because that's the only love that she ever received. And it's so fucked up when you read that and you want to just scream at her and tell her that she deserves better, but she really doesn't know any better. So yeah, I think what I didn't like about this book, about Hideaway, is that it felt like eventually when she realized some stuff, it just kind of happened. It felt like she didn't really, like, in her thought process, you didn't realize that she was realizing this stuff. Do you know what I mean? It just kind of all of a sudden she just switched. So that's my kind of pet peeve with this book. But then this is very much improved in Kill Switch in the next book, because that's done a lot better there. So I feel like these books are getting just like better and better. I don't know if the current book I'm reading, Nightfall, is gonna top Kill Switch, meaning Damon's book, the most fucked up character ever, just because he's so fucked up and I hated him for the first two books. And then in the third book, I just actually ended up understanding him and sympathizing with him. And actually, his story was the most interesting one at the end. And also, the girl he's with is also super interesting. She's actually blind. So it's also, kind of interesting to read that from her perspective. From a blind girl's perspective, she doesn't see. So, how she perceives Damon, how she sees him, and like how she imagines him to be and stuff like that. Their story is interesting because they actually met when they were children, she was like 8 and he was 11, something like that. So all about that book. But yeah, so far, Nightfall, like I said, I'm loving it, but I don't think anything will top Kill Switch for me. And now I want to read some quotes from all of these books, just because I want to give you guys a feel of the writing and what kind of a vibe they have. I think I've explained a lot, but still, maybe it's gonna be easier for you to get it even if I read just a few quotes. Hopefully you're into that. And also let me know if you want me to do these books individually, meaning if you want me to discuss each book individually on this podcast, if you would be into that, if you're intrigued or anything. This is from Corrupt. When you want to make an impression and you think you've gone far enough, go a little further. Always leave them wondering if you're just a little bit crazy, and people will never fuck with you again. Then the second one, for example, our scrapes and bruises, tattoos, scars, smiles, and wrinkles told our stories. And from Michael, as well as Damon, Will, and Kai, I learned to breathe fire. I learned to walk as if the path were carved for me and me alone, and to treat the world as if it should know I was coming. So these are a few from Corrupt, meaning Michael and Rika, my least favorite book of the ton. Now let's check out Hideaway. We're only ever good because there are consequences, I told her. Take those away and everyone shows their true self. Kind of like taking off a mask. Or putting one on, she replied. After all, there's freedom in hiding, isn't there? People will think what they want to think, not because they believe they are right, but because it's in their nature to maintain that they are. By defending yourself, you feed the appetite for drama. By not, you've ended the conversation. Oh my gosh, I actually love this quote. It's so good. I think that sometimes, like personally, I should end conversations, but instead I just kind of go on because it's not that I want to feed the drama, it's just that I feel better if I state what's on my mind, because if I don't, I feel like, I don't know, I just can't. I'm the type of person that just has to say what's on my mind, otherwise I'll explode. So I do it for my mental health, actually. Oh my gosh, by the way, this is such a good quote. It's about Damon, and it's from Kai's love interest. She knows him. So she says, Damon eats pain. He will find some way to take it and twist it and fit it down his throat so he can swallow it. He's made of it. You all can endure it until you overcome it. But Damon, he wants to be in hell. I turned my eyes back up to the sky, sliding an arm under my head. But still, he never cried. That's when you read that, but still he never cried. And when you know what she's talking about, it breaks your heart. It seriously breaks your heart. Okay, so that's from Hideaway. And then we have Kill Switch, meaning Damon's book, the baddest of them all. I'm curious about you guys, like if you read Kill Switch, how you'll feel about Damon. Because honestly, like I said, the first two books I hated him, and then in Kill Switch I actually cried with him, I cried for him. I still didn't approve of certain shit he did, but I don't know. Okay, so this is from Kill Switch. Our life is a series of plans, she finally said. Days, weeks, months, years, and then there are moments. Moments you don't see coming and you don't plan, but everything you need, all the things you want to feel, are in that moment. People assumed I behaved strictly on impulse, when actually it required quite a bit of strategy being this fucked up. How I'd never hated anyone as much as I hated him, but how I loved what I felt with him more than I loved anything I felt with anyone else either. The secret of life that everyone knew and everyone forgot was that we weren't alone. We thought we were unique. We thought we were the first. No one has been through what I've been through. No one else is feeling this. No one knows what it's like to be me. This is the first time anyone has endured what I've endured, right? But that's not the case. If she left me, I'm going to burn the whole fucking world down until I find her. Enough. Jesus, I'm never gonna shut up with this. Ugh, this is a problem maybe with not having a co-host, because I'm just gonna keep on going until tomorrow, and like the sun is gonna set and the sun is gonna come up again and I'm still gonna be here. And now I'm just gonna read a few from Nightfall, but not too much here because I haven't finished it and I don't want to spoil myself anything. Let's see. Abuse can feel like love. Abuse can feel like love? Why? Damon remained so still it didn't look like he was breathing. He looked at the teacher, unwavering. Starving people will eat anything. Oh my god. Ugh, like even in the book that's not about Damon, his quotes are amazing. People hide in the dark. They quench their thirsts in the dark. They build their secrets in the dark. We're more ourselves here than anywhere else. I get to be me, he swallowed, staring at me, when nightfall is coming. That's enough, okay? Ugh, I got goosebumps. So yeah, this is like my hidden gem right now. It's so good. I hope I make it more popular. But yeah, this book series surprised me so much. It's been a while since I've been so invested in books, meaning that, like I read and then for some reason I have to stop. Like I have to eat, for example, or take a shower. And then I take the shower and I come out and I just read again, It's like... It's been a while, yeah. For example, the ones that I've read on the beach by Emily Henry, I liked them and, they were cute and all, but I did not get that invested. I didn't stop reading and then I couldn't wait to read again. Like that kind of a vibe. And here it's exactly like that. So yeah, guys, if you have ever read these books or if you plan to or, whatever, just let me know. We can talk about them a bit more. And like I've said, they're all super spicy. Lots of sex, lots of kissing, lots of chemistry, seduction, tension, especially tension because it's just like enemies to lovers. Those vibes, just like one look and you feel naked or, stuff like that. It's just, it's so good. I think this would be actually I think if they turned this series into movies, it would work really well. or like a TV show, I think it's so interesting about these four best friends who are also fucked up and twisted. And it's called Devil's Night because it's actually, Devil's Night is like a tradition in their town. It's like Halloween, where the kids, or well, the town basically just goes wild, and the kids, they kind of pull pranks on everyone, and they party until tomorrow. They can like even leave school earlier. It's just like a wild ride. And these four guys, they created the Devil's Night because they're like the star basketball players of their high school in that town. And they just kind of started this tradition for their basketball team. So like to bond and just to grow that team spirit. But it just kind of became a town sensation. And even after they leave, the town just kind of wants to continue it. It's just such a big thing. And also the fact that they were like in prison, that was also hard to read. But okay, no, I cannot start that now. Otherwise I really won't shut up until tomorrow. So yeah, that's it for today. Oh my gosh, my first solo episode. And it was really good because I really liked talking about these books that just, I feel like no one knows about. Oh my gosh. And I love presenting them to you. And yeah, let me know, like I said, if you have any comments, suggestions, feedback. Follow me, please, on Instagram. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple, like anywhere you're listening. The support means now more than ever. Really, any feedback is appreciated because I love knowing that you guys are listening and that you guys care. That's such a good feeling. So yeah, I guess see you next time. Follow me on Instagram. Oh shit, I have an alarm clock for some reason. Sorry about that. Follow me on Instagram because there I will be updating you guys more, about what's the plan, what's going on, when the next episode's gonna come out. So you know. So yeah, that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Bye!